Welcome to Leader IAS and Yashas Institute, Navi Mumbai. Myself, Professor Suhas, Sargar. Today, in this audio video book, we are all going to learn State Board of Maharashtra, subject History and Political Science. Chapter number 5, Mass Media and History. Dear listeners, these are the self-explanatory audiobooks for the self-study. In these chapters, what you are going to learn. 5.1 Introduction to Mass Media. History of Mass Media. Why do we need mass media? Critical understanding of the information received through mass media. Mass media and professional opportunities. In box, think about it. What could be the method of sending a news to Delhi if there were the famine in Bihar in the Mughal period? How much time would it take for the aid to reach Bihar after the Badshah heard the news? 5.1 Introduction to Mass Media. Mass media contains two words. Mass, in this context, means an aggregation of people. Media means various modes of communication. Thus, the mass media is a field of mass communication. We can easily send some information to a far-away destination through a medium of communication. In the olden days, a crier would run in the streets, beating drums and crying out important news according to the orders of the king. News would spread among the people by the word of mouth. 5.2 The history of mass media. The printing technology and newspapers were introduced in India after the arrival of the British. The people started receiving the printed news through newspapers. Newspapers become the first mass medium of circulating information and the knowledge among people. Newspapers. Newspapers is a publication which mainly prints the news, editorials, people's opinion, entertaining or other supplementary content. It is printed and distributed regularly at a definite time. Newspapers provide various local, national and international news. Newspapers are historical documents which record the current events. Precursors of newspapers. Before the beginning of the Common Era, there was a custom in Egypt of placing inscription with a royal decrees at public places. Emperor Ashoka also resorted to similar methods to reach out to his subject. In the Roman Empire, royal decrees were written on papers and those were distributed in all regions. They also contain the information of various events taking place in the nation and its capital. During Julius Caesar's reign, newspapers known as Acta Diurna, meaning acts of everyday, used to do place at public places in a room. It was a very effective way of conveying the royal command to the people. In the 7th century CE, the royal dictates were well distributed among the people at a public place. In England, handouts used to be distributed occasionally, giving information about wars or important events. The travelers arriving from far away would add the spice to stories those places and narrate it to local people. The ambassadors of a king posted at various places would send back important news to the royal court. Bengal Gazette, the first English newspaper of India, was printed on 29th January 1780. It was named as a Kolkata General Advisor or Bengal Gazette. It was started by the James Augustus Hickey, an Irish gentleman. See the picture of James Augustus Hickey. Darpan. The newspaper's Darpan was started in 1832 in Mumbai. Bal Shastri Zambekar was the editor of Darpan. In box, make a list of national leaders in the pre-independence period and newspapers started by them. Box. The news printed in Darpan can be reviewed to know about the political, economical, social, and cultural events of those times. Here are the few news titles as examples. The accounts of expenditures from three administrative divisions of East India Company. The danger of Russian attack on the nation. Appointment of a committee for cleanliness of the city. Remarriage of Hindu widows. The inception of theatres at Calcutta. Achievement of Raja Ram Mohan Roy in England. Reporting of such news throws light on the various historical events of those days. Prabhakar. The newspapers was started by the Bahu Mahajan. The history of French Revolution. Shatapatre, the letters by Lokahita Bani, means Gopal Hari Deshmukh. Aimed at creating the social awareness were published in these newspapers. Gyanoday. Gyanoday printed the map of Asia in 1842 and the map of Europe in 1850. The honor of painting an illustration in an Indian newspaper for the first time goes to the Gyanoday. The newspaper, the news of installation of the telegraph used for electrically transmitting a news can be seen in Gyanoday. The news of the starting of railway in India was printed in Gyanoday under the title Sakya Masoba. Sakya Masoba, meaning the Masoba with wheels. It had also printed the news of the Indian War of Independence of 1857. Newspapers in those times were a very important medium of creating the social awareness. The newspaper named Indu Prakash supported the widow remarriage in a big way. Dinabandhu, a newspaper representing the masses of the Indian society, means Bahujan Samaj, was started by the Mahatma Jyotirao Phule, close associate of Krishnarao Bhalekar. We get to know about the issues of relating to the masses through these newspapers. In a box, do this. Let each student in the class bring a cutting of interesting news. Create a journal from the collection of news. Box. Kesari and Maratha. Kesari and Maratha, the two newspapers, are indicative of an important stage in the history of Indian newspapers before independence. Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, Bal Gangadhar Tilak started these papers in 1889. They spoke about the social and political issues of that period. Kesari began to publish articles about the nationwide situations, books in the native languages, and the politics in England. In the 21st century, newspapers have continued to fulfill an important role in what was acknowledged the fourth column of democracy. Dear listener, we are from Leader IAS and Yashas Institute, Navi Mumbai. Myself, Professor Suhas Sargar. These are the audio-video books for the self-learning and self-study. Magazines and journals. The magazines and journals are the periodical publication. These categories include the publications which are weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, 6 monthly, annually, etc. There may be the some chronicles which are published at no fixed times. And pause. In recent times, many newspapers have introduced e-newspapers. The e-newspapers are being received well by the readers. Learn to read e-newspapers with the help of your teachers. Box closed. Balshastri Zambekar started the first monthly magazine in Marathi. It was named Digadarshan. Among the periodicals, Pragati, now a defunct journal, was started in 1929 and edited by the Trambak Shankar Shezwarkar. He wrote regularly in these historiographical journals of Maharashtra history and social movement. Currently, there are the many periodicals devoted to Indian history, Marathi journals such as the Bharatiya Itihas, Ani Samskruti, and Marathwada Itihas Parishad Patrika may be cited as examples. In box, let us search and find out. Apart from journals cited above, there are the many more journals related to the research in history published in Marathi, Hindi, and English by various institutions and universities. Search and find out about them with the help of internet. Box closed. Electronic or digital journalism. These are ultra-modern periodicals from a part of electronic of digital journalism. History is a prime subject of interest for these periodicals as well. Many web news, portals, social media, web channels, YouTubes, etc. make historical content available to the audience or the readers. Radio, Indian Broadcasting Company, means IBC, a private radio company, was the first one to broadcast daily programs. Later, the same company was taken over by the British government and named as an Indian State Broadcasting Services, means ISBS. On 8th June 1936, it was renamed as All India Radio, means AIR. After independence, All India Radio became an integral part of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, India. Initially, it broadcasted the governmental program and schemes. It was named as Akashvan on the suggestion of the famous poet Pandit Narendra Sharma. Akashvani broadcast various entertainment, awareness creating, and literary programs. It also broadcasts the special programs for farmers, workers, and youth and women. The Vividha Bharati programs were broadcasted in 24 regional languages as well as 146 dialects of Indian languages. Lately, the various news channels like Radio Mirchi are providing radio services. In pause, do you know? In the British India, the first English news bulletin was broadcasted on 23rd July 1927 from the Mumbai radio station of the Indian Broadcasting Company, that is IBC. Later, the Kolkata radio station of IBC started a news bulletin in Bengal. Box closed. Television. The Delhi Doordarshan Center was inaugurated by the Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first Indian president. Doordarshan's Mumbai Center began to telecast its program on 1st of May 1972. Color television was introduced on 15th of August 1982. In 1991, the Indian government granted the permission to private national and international channels to telecast in India. Thus, it became possible for Indians to watch the international events on television. Why do we need mass media? We need mass media to facilitate the free flow of information to all strata of the society. Editorials, various columns, and supplement are essential part of the newspaper. Readers are also ensured of the platform to voice their opinions. Newspapers can help in making the democracy stronger. Television is an audio-visual medium. It was possible for these medium to cross an inherent limitation of newspapers and radio and show the actual visuals of an event to the people. So far, there is so other alternatives to the television for watching an event as it actually happened. In box, do these collect the information and write a report about the television channels in India. Do this as a group activity. Box use. 5.4 Critically understanding of the information received through mass media. Any information received through mass media needs to be reviewed critically. The news or the informations in the media may not always represent exact truth. We need to scan it very carefully. There is a very famous event of unauthentic information appearing in a print in Germany. Stern, a German weekly magazine, had purchased a number of so-called handwritten diaries of Adolf Hitler. It sold them to various publication companies. The diaries were verified for their authenticity and subsequently the news appeared in the print. However, later those diaries were proved to be forged. It becomes apparent from these examples that we need to be very careful about the information published by the media. 5.5 Mass media and professional opportunity. Newspapers have fulfilled the task of providing the fresh news to its readers. It is also necessary to unfold the background of an event in the news at such times. Newspapers have to resort to history. While reporting news in detail, reporters try to compare it with the parallel events which happened in the past. The past event may be printed in a separate frame. Thus, the readers get access to the additional information and he can get a better insight about the current news. Newspapers print columns about historical information appearing under the heading such as 50 years ago or 100 years ago, etc. Such columns are based on historical documents or written history. These columns provide the historical information about economic, social, political events in the past and also events of historical significance. See the pictures. History goes to editorial also. History include article. History include on this day in month history. History include reviews. History include news. History include columns. Picture close. In box, do these. Newspapers also publish the crossword puzzle based on history. Try to create similar crossword puzzle. For example, use fort names to create puzzle. Box closed. Newspapers occasionally publish the supplements to regular edition or the special issues. For example, the World War I commenced in 1940. Year 2014 marked the 100th year of this event. In order to be able to publish a newspaper supplement or special issues to commemorate the occasion, the one need to review its history. In 2017, 75 years were completed after the announcement of Quit India movement. On such occasion, the newspaper highlighted the event through various articles, editorial, columns, like what happened in history on this day, reviews, etc. The knowledge of the history is an essential for writing of such type. In box, try to do this. Try to collect the information about the role of underground radio centers in the Quit India movement of 1942 with the help of your teachers. Box History is also essential in planning radio programs. For example, Akashvani has preserved recording of all the speeches delivered each year by the Prime Minister of India on 15th of August. Akashvani invites the historian as expert for the discussion on various occasions such as the anniversaries of birth or the death of national leaders, anniversaries of historical events, etc. Lectures on the contribution of various national leaders need to be supported by the historical information programs like on this day in history are also an integral part of the daily programs of Akashvani. Television channels also telecast the programs based on history. Doordarshan and another television channel help in creating the interest in history among the people through their historical shows and serials. The mythological and historical serials like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bharat Ek Khoj, Raja Shiva Chhatrapati attracted a very large audience while producing these type of program, maintaining accuracy with regard to the presentation of environment, outfits, weaponry, lifestyle, lingual expression, etc. is essential. One needs to have a deep understanding of history of the concerned period. Currently, the channels like Discovery, National Geographic, History, etc. have opened a rich treasure of global history for the audience. It has enabled the people to view the historical and geographical wonders at home. To make such programs more entertaining, some parts of the serial are actually enacted by actors such as the characters of heroic men and women, sportsmen, army chief, etc. Besides these serials about the ancient monuments, the fort, histories of empire, and also the history of culinary arts are watched by a large number of people with great interest. People with a deep knowledge of history in the respective fields are sought out in all fields mentionable. In box, you would like to find these interesting? You will find these interesting. Bharat Ek Khoj, a serial telecasted by Doordarshan, has special place in the history of Indian television serials. It was based on the Discovery of India, a book written by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. It was directed by the Sham Benegal. It was directed by Sham Benegal. This serial presented the history of India from the ancient to the modern period, throwing a light on the social, cultural, political history of respective period. It effectively portrayed the many aspects of Indian history like Harappan civilization, Vedic history, interpretation of Ramayana and Mahabharata, the Mauryan period, the Turk-Afghan invasions, Mughal period, and the contributions of Mughal emperors, the Bhakti movements, role of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, movements of social reforms and Indian struggle for the independence, etc. Roshan said the actors who played Pandit Nehru's role in this serial also appeared as a narrator, introducing and explaining the various parts of the story by dramatizing them. Using folklore and informative speeches, the serial was admired in all parts of India because of the comprehensive historical perspective of Pandit Nehru and its equally comprehensive visual presentation. Friends, we are from Leader IAS and Yashas Institute, Navi Mumbai. Myself, Professor Suhas, Sargar. These are the audio video books for the self-study of a students. Thanks for listening.